Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd. Dear brothers, we've arrived at lesson 42 after the study of al-Faa'il al-Mudmar, which you did very well with yesterday, alhamdulillah, barakallahu feekum. And it was a very organized, repetitive practice which helped us put things in its place and get the routine down. Building on that, باب المفعول الذي لم يسمى فاعله. The chapter about al-maf'ul الذي لم يسمى فاعله. The maf'ul that doesn't have its fa'il named. The meaning of that is what's defined here. وهو الاسم. It's an ism. It's al-marfu'. Al-ism al-marfu'. So again, with the word ism, we're excluding af'al and huruf. So it's not a harf, it's not a fi'l. It's an ism. It's al-marfu'. So that means it's not an ism mansub, which is what you normally expect to hear when you hear maf'ulun bihi, right? Maf'ul. That's mansub. But this maf'ul is actually marfu', ismun marfu'un. الذي لم يذكر معه فاعله. The fa'il is not mentioned along with it. You need to know what the mabni lil-majhul is, and you need to know what the maf'ul الذي لم يسمى فاعله is in order to understand the definition, because it's in the definition. لم يذكر معه فاعله. So the fa'il here is actually na'ibu fa'il. The word fa'iluhu is na'ibu fa'il. فإن كان الفعل ماضيا. So he's going to give you a little advice here. This is how you build the fi'l. This is how you construct it with harakat. Instead of saying fa'ala, you're going to say fu'ila. He says, فإن كان الفعل ماضيا. If it's فعل ماضي, like what? فعل. فعل. ضم أوله. Using, already look, ضم is فعل ماضي مبني للمجهول. أوله is نائب فاعل. Look how many نائب فاعils there is in the text right here, subhanallah. ضم أوله. He put a ضم on the first part of it. So فعل becomes fu. Fu. And then وكسر ما قبل آخره. فُعِلَ. ما قبل آخره is the عين الكلمة. Not the lam. The lam is going to remain, because it's فعل ماضي, it's going to remain مبني على الفتح. Even a فعل ماضي that's مبني للمجهول, that's what we're talking about. مبني للمجهول. In English we call that passive. Passive. What that means is, like in English, what does the child say when he broke a dish? And he's standing there, and he's going, I don't know who did it. The dish was broken. So who broke the dish? It was broken. He wants to use that language now because he wants to hide who broke the dish. He doesn't want to say who did it. He doesn't want to say he did it himself. Yeah, you show up with the boss to the meeting, and he lost the files. And so everybody says, where are the files? You say, the files were lost.
They're lost, yeah.
The files were lost. You don't say he lost the files. If you say he lost the files here, what happens? You might lose your job or something, right? You're throwing the boss under the bus in a meeting. So this is the idea. There are reasons why you need to get rid of the fa'il sometimes. 4 basic reasons why you need to do this. Right? The first reason is لأنه ظاهر معلوم لكل أحد. Everyone knows who it is. خلقت السماوات. هل من خالق غير الله? Is there another creator except Allah? So then when you say خُلِقَتِ السَّمَاءُ, it's actually ta'zeem. It's actually a kind of exaltation of Allah that you don't even have to mention. Everybody knows. خُلِقَتِ السَّمَاءُ خُلِقَتِ الْأَرْضُ. Right? Everybody knows. It works with kingly and authoritative language too. قُرِّرَ الْأَمْرُ الْمَلَكِ قُرِّرَ الْأَمْرُ الْحُكُومِ. For example, the government rule was passed. So who passed it? Well, whatever government situation you got going on. The king issued an order, or the Senate approved of the Congress, whatever they do, they voted the majority on the law and they passed. قُرِّرَ الْأَمْرُ. So the rule was passed, or it was agreed upon and made effective. قُرِّرَ. Not قَرَّرَهُ النَّاسُ, but قُرِّرَ الْأَمْرُ. نعم قُرِّرَ. So that's the first of the 4 reasons, is that it's really clear and everyone knows who did it. Secondly, عدم العلم. لعدم العلم بالفاعل. And my car was stolen. Why didn't you say who stole your car?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's just gone right now at this stage. سرقت السيارة. سرقة. ضم أوله سوء. وكسر ما قبل آخره ري. سرقة.
So what if you somebody asks you where's your car and you just your answer is one word, سرقت.
سرقت. نعم. We have سرقت هي. Yeah, المسؤول عنها. The thing you asked me about. سرقت. We have a فاعل and a فاعل. What's the فاعل or what's the نائب فاعل here? It is هي. It is هي. ضمير مستتر. سرقت هي. And سرقت. That's a complete sentence. Yeah, سرقت. In a context where, a سيارة is clearly the thing I'm talking about. سرقت. But if I came to you out of nowhere with no context and I said to you سرقت, you would say سرقت ماذا? There's no context here to give us a نائب فاعل. So by context, it's known. It's like if I came up to you and said, I hit him. You were like, who did you hit and why? I have no idea what you're talking about, right? But if we're in a context and we're talking about a person, we're talking about an issue, okay, now we've got a context. Yeah, in the siyaq, you're able to make the taqdir. There's always, if we have a fa'il, there's always a fa'il. Or, maybe not a fa'il, but what takes the place of a fa'il? A na'ibu fa'il, which is the same thing as a maf'ul, الذي لم يسمى فاعله. طيب, so the second reason we don't mention the fa'il sometimes, and we use this passive language, we use al-mabni lil-majhul, is because of what? We don't know. All right. Thirdly, we use it for satar. For satar, to hide ourselves or to hide someone else, to screen someone's actions. Like I mentioned to you the example of you going to the meeting with your boss, he lost the files, and you say, what? ضيعت الملف. The files were lost. You don't say he lost the files. You use مبني للمجهول. Or yourself. You don't want to identify yourself as the one who's done something. You say it was done. كسرت الزجاجة. The glass was broken. Your wife's favorite glass got broken. You did it. So you say كسرت الزجاجة. The glass was broken. Yeah. Fourthly, you could maybe discuss this issue with a lot of other reasons why you use this language. I like to just give these 4 reasons why we use this language. And this is actually not specific to Arabic. These are the same 4 reasons you'll find in English grammar for why we use passive language. Because it's the same idea. Why do you not mention the fa'il? Why do you not want to mention the one who did the action? The same motives are there no matter what the language is. Because it's a human need to sometimes do that, right? The 4th one is لعدم أهمية الفاعل. It's not important. غير زيت سيارتي. The oil in my car was changed. So who changed it? Well, the guy's name is Paul, and he works at Jiffy Lube. But what's the point of me saying that, If I told you Paul at Jiffy Lube changed my oil, you say, why are you talking about Paul at Jiffy Lube?
Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? There's no point in focusing on that at all. There's no i'timam. There's no focus on it. The point is my oil was changed, okay? Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. لم يسمى. That's مبني للمجهول. لم يسمى. سماه المؤلف. سمى المؤلف الفاعلة. Or لم يسمى الفاعل. لم يسمى. Yeah, get your ضبط right. That's already مبني للمجهول. Everything's مبني للمجهول right here. Like he knew that he was using all this language here to give you a test on understanding the language. It's the language, this is Arabic for Arab. So the language you've been using, you just didn't know what to call it. It's called mabni lil majhul. This issue is way more common than you think it is and way more easy than it may appear, given the technicalities of how you change a verb into passive and all that. It's just common. It's all over the place. I was just reading on my way to the masjid, Surat al-Haqqa, and I was like, look how much mabni lil majhul is here. وَحُمِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ وَالْجِبَالُ فَدُكَّتَا دَكَّةً واحدة يومئذ تعرضون أنتم تعرضون مبني للمجهول فأما من أوتي كتابه بيمينه وأما من أوتي كتابه بشماله يا ليتني لم أوت كتابيه. All this مبني للمجهول. I wish I wasn't given my book. And the one who's given his book. Who gives him the book? It's not mentioned. دكت الأرض. The day the earth is shaken with its one shaking. May Allah save us. قتل أصحاب الأخدود. قتل أصحاب الأخدود. يوم تبلى السرائر. يوم تبلى السرائر. So it's all over the place. So I want each one of you to gather 5 unique individual verses of the Quran that have mabni al-majhul. And what you're looking for is fu'ila, the scale of fu'ila. Or maybe if it comes in the ruba'i, uf'ila. Or you're looking for in the khumasi, uftu'ila. Or in the sudasi, ustuf'ila. You're looking for that kind of u'i'a. You're looking for that sound that comes in the past tense. And as we'll mention some of the examples of the mudari as well. The author says here, فَإِنْ كَانَ الْفِعْلُ مَاضِيًا ضُمَّ أَوَّلُهُ وَكُسِرَ مَا قَبْلَ آخِرِهِ. We already gave an example of that, but I want you to give me one. For example, أَكَلَ زَيْدٌ التُّفَاحَةَ. We got a fi'l, a fa'il, and a maf'ulun bihi. أَكَلَ زَيْدٌ التُّفَاحَةَ. So change it to مبني للمجهول يا نفيسو. أكل التفاحة. Now the tufaha is mu'annatha, so you're going to add a tab. So you're going to say ukilat at-tufaha. So there's subject-verb agreement. Yeah. So the tufahatu is feminine, while Zayd was the eater of the apple. And when you use the verb for Zayd, you said akala. You didn't say akalat, because the fi'il matches the fa'il or the Naa'ib in your sentence. So akala Zaydun at-tufahata. Take Zayd out of the sentence. We don't want to mention the fa'il. That's what our bab is. Bab al-maf'ul alladhi lam yusamma fa'iluhu. Take the fa'il out. We're going to focus on the apple. Ukilat at-tufahatu. And we're going to put a kasr on the ta because of iltiqa al-sakinain. Ukilat at-tufahatu. So, Hanif, daraba Zaydun Amran. Let's go back to our famous fight that's ongoing here between Zayd and Amr. Daraba Zaydun Amran. Take Zayd out of the sentence. Duriba Amrun. Easy, right? Daraba Zaydun Amran. Take Zayd out. Duriba Amrun. Amrun stands in the place of the fa'il. The focus is on him. But he didn't do anything. Qad duriba. He was hit. It's passive language. He was hit. Duriba Amrun. He is as if he's the fa'il. He's the focus of the sentence. Yeah. Akrama Zaydun ad-duyuf. Here's a hard one for Ibrahim. You ready, Ibrahim? Akrama Zaydun ad-duyufa. Duyuf is the plural of daif. Zayd honored the guests. Take Zayd out of the sentence. Ukrima ad-duyufu. Ukrima ad-duyufu. And it's allowed for jam'u taksir, for you to use a ta'nith as-sakina as well. You can say ukrimatil duyufu. Both are allowed. Duyuf is a group of men or women or mixed. And duyuf is jam'u taksir. For those reasons, you can say ukrima al-duyuf or ukrimat al-duyuf. Ala lugati akaluni al-baraghith, we say ukrimu al-duyufu. Ukrimu al-duyufu. That's combining stuff from before. Tayyib, fi'l mudari, our last thing, and we close with this. The author says, وَإِنْ كَانَ مُضَارِعًا ضُمَّ أَوَّلُهُ وَفُتِحَ مَا قَبْلَ آخِرِهِ. So we changed ضَرَبَ to ضُرِبَ. What do we change يَضْرِبُ to? يُضْرَبُ. يُضْرَبُ. In the mudari, يُضْرَبُ. Not يُضْرِبُ, but يُضْرَبُ. We can't use يُضْرِبُ because that's the mudari for the ruba'i. يُكْرِمُ زَيْدٌ. So we want to put a fetha on the thing that's before the last. So now, the same example, يُكْرِمُ زَيْدٌ الضُّيُوف. What do we say? If we take out Zayd, and we're going to make it mudari now. What do you say, Ya Jibreel? Yukrimu Zaydun. Right now, Zayd is honoring the guest. Yukrimu Zaydun al-duyufa. Take Zayd out and talk about the duyuf only. Yukramu. Yukramu. Because it's fi'l mudari, you got to have a dhamma on the end because it's marfu until you have a jazm or a nasib. Even if it's mabni lil-majhul, it's still going to end in a dhamma. That dhamma is not part of the bina of changing it into passive. That dhamma is part of the i'rab. And so based on its mawqi', based on its position in the sentence, that's when your dhamma might change. So we might say, Lam yukrim Zaydun ad-duyuf. So let's make it negative then for duyuf. Take Zayd out. We've got Lam yukram ad-duyuf. Yeah, Lam yukram ad-duyuf.
That's that. What's over the calf? Shadda?
In the word akrama?
Yeah, I don't understand.
Sukun. Akrama yukrimu. There's a sukun on the calf. In all cases, yeah. أكرم يكرم إكراما.
عين كلمة مفتوح.
The ayn of the kalima is maftuh in the mudari, yes. يكرم الضيوف. لم يكرم الضيوف. لم يكرم. لن يكرم الضيوف. So the meme is going to be reserved for your i'rab. The meme is not changed because of bina' lil-majhul. That's where you see, is it marfu' mansub or majzoom? That's always, whether it's mabni lil-majhul or mabni lil-ma'loom. And so our terms that we do have to make sure we know in this lesson, mabni lil-ma'loom is what we've been using. Daraba, Zaydun, Amran, you mentioned the fa'il. Mabni lil-ma'loom. Then there's the opposite of that, mabni lil-majhul. When you make the verb passive, you take out the fa'il and you say duriba amrun. That's called mabni lil-majhul. It's a description of the fa'il specifically. The fa'il is duriba. It's mabni lil-majhul. Or mabni lima lam yusamma fa'iluhu. Using this language. So this whole language of naa'ib fa'il and al-maf'ul alladhi lam yusamma fa'iluhu, you might think that second choice is a bit wordy. But the reason why that choice comes is considering aqidah and considering larger meanings. Right? So when we say khuliqat as-sama'u, is the fa'il majhul?
Yeah.
But he's ghayru musam, he's not named. That's better, right? When we talk about Allah Ta'ala, we're going to say Allah is majhul, a'udhu billah. So we're going to say he's not mentioned? That's possible. We can remove mention of Allah from a sentence. That's not a disgrace or a problem with our creed. Right? What about a naa'ib for Allah? يعني خلقت السماء, when you say السماء is نائب الفاعل, هل تنوب السماء عن الله? Like these ideas, when the speech is about Allah, these ideas get dangerous. That's why they prefer the longer words. Otherwise, the scholars of language always prefer the shorter worded phrases. But this is why they went out of their way. Instead of saying نائب فاعل, they would say المفعول الذي لم يسمى فاعله. Or instead of al-mabni lil-majhul, they would say al-mabni lima lam yusamma fa'iluhu. Like that.
Just a quick question. When we say ukrima of the youth, this one is maf'ul bihi.
It's the maf'ul bihi. Originally, it became the na'ib fa'il. It's the maf'ul lam yusamma fa'iluhu. So it's marfu' now. Because we've made the focus of the sentence the duyuf now. So as soon as we say ukrima, yukramu, ukrima al-duyuf, yukramu al-duyuf, we made them the stand-in fa'il. There's no fa'il, we took it out. They stand in as a fa'il. They're the na'ib fa'il. So it becomes marfu'.
All of them.
Yeah, all the na'ib fa'ils, the maf'ul alladhi lam yusamma fa'iluhu is marfu'. Remember, we're doing marfu'at al-asma'. Wallahu a'lam wa salli Allahumma wa sallam wa barik ala nabiyyina Muhammadin. Khairul kalami ma qalla wa dalla.